Am I the asshole for being the one to wake up at night to take care of my daughter? When my daughter was born, my daughter went through the usual steps of crying all night. Mum, who had a rough pregnancy, sometimes wouldn't wake up to her cries. I've always been a light sleeper, so I would wake up and take care of whatever was needed. Rocking, maybe a warm bottle, diaper change, soothing. I never said anything to her, figuring she would wake up at times when I didn't, so there would be a balance. One time we went out with friends, she started gushing to her friends what a great baby we had, and she hardly ever needed to get up in the middle of the night, because our daughter would mostly sleep through the night. I didn't want to embarrass the mother of my child in front of her friends, so I waited until we got home to bring this up. That's where the problem began. As soon as I told her I was getting up at night to take care of the baby, she absolutely lost it on me. Said why would I do that? Me not waking her up to do it is the reason she now can't wake up when she cries. Says I stole motherly duties from her. I didn't see it as mom or dad duties, but as a shared parental task. I didn't care if I was the only one doing it or not. I just wanted to care for my baby. Mom seems to look at me as some kind of monster for trying my best to be a good father to my kid. So am I the asshole for waking up to take care of our daughter at night, instead of leaving it to her mom? Edit 1. I can't believe how much this blew up. I've tried responding to as many comments as I can since I originally posted this. I want to add some additional context for some of the more common questions. I worked between 9 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. She was also working. We had very little overlap as far as time goes. Conversing about what was going on presently was usually our topic of conversation. Mum was never really one to ask how my day was or how things were, and if I asked her, it was usually a mumbled groan, so I typically didn't share much. It was always more of a thank goodness you're home kind of vibe, and left at that. The fact that this wasn't a topic of conversation seemed to be confusing for some. Mum wanted to track all feedings and diaper changes, so she had downloaded an app to her phone, where she and I logged everything. It was maybe an unreasonable expectation on my part that she was checking this regularly, and if something had been wrong she would tell me. Her checking it apparently didn't happen, which I think didn't help that neither of us were talking about it either. I was also under the assumption there were nights she was also doing it. I never said she hadn't been doing it, for sure she did. But as it turns out not to the frequency I had been. This came about sometime between when the baby was between 4 to 6 months. I don't want to share my daughter's exact age for privacy reasons. This did happen some time ago. The baby is older, and thankfully mostly sleeping through the night. Me and Mum are not married, just to clarify for those referring to us as husband and wife. I have a mixture of overtiredness, post-COVID brain fog, that I think contributed to the fact it never occurred to me these conversations were not happening. There were days I was running on autopilot and 2 hours of sleep, and I was for sure not as present at work or at home as I should have been. I didn't make this post to prove a point, clickbait, or otherwise try to curry favor with absolute strangers on Reddit. Mum here has been using this to bash me to family and friends. I wanted a more unbiased opinion from people on the outside that would tell me whether or not I was in fact an asshole. This event didn't just happen, it happened months ago. I was trying to not bias the conversation with anything negative about her, but I see how some additional context was needed. Because I shared this not because it happened, but because even months later, it still brought up something horribly wrong I had done. One of the key issues between us is definitely communication, and it's something I have been, and will continue to work on going forward. There are certain questions I did not feel comfortable answering, as I didn't want to make this so specific that people in my actual life would realize who the parties involved were. This includes the baby's actual age. Since this was brought up, due to medications being categorized as Class C, Mum was medically advised not to breastfeed. My daughter had to be entirely bottle-fed. I did try to write this as a separate comment, so as not to add any edits to the original post, but that comment was buried on the others, so I'm including this for future reference. I also wanted to take the time to thank everyone who commented and shared their opinions and experiences. I've definitely gained additional perspective that I didn't have before. I appreciate the encouraging words, and even the opinions that do think I'm the asshole. I am not perfect, I have my own failings, but ultimately I just wanted to see whether or not if I was doing the right thing not just for Mum, but for our child.